Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And I know it's been a really long time since I last shared a video, and honestly, I think it's been way over 1 year, which is crazy, honestly, because where has the last year even gone? But yeah, here we are again with another apartment renovation. And I know that coming back after disappearing for 1 year with an apartment renovation is probably not super exciting, and I would have loved to share something a little bit more spectacular, but yeah, this is just what I had ready. I have been working on this for some time now, and so yeah, this is what I can offer you right now. And it's another artist apartment. And I know that the last speed build I shared in this channel was also basically an artist's apartment, so that attic flat in my Rochester townhouse. But yeah, apparently I just really like this theme, and it just really gives the opportunity to furnish in various colors and get really creative with styles. I think it's a little bit different because, first of all, this is one of the pre-existing apartments. So I think this is 1310 21 Chic Street. So it's the apartment right across the one where Penny Pisas normally lives in. So the very rectangular one. And yeah, also the style-wise, this is a little bit different from what we did last time because the last one was a bit messy. It was very chaotic, a bit rundown. It looked very thrifted, while this one is a bit, I would say, tidier. So yeah, I feel like style-wise, it's a little bit more cohesive. It looks a little bit more purposeful in the way that everything is put together. There's a more cohesive color scheme. It's still boho and yeah, eclectic, but it's just a little bit less chaotic than the other ones. So it's not the exact same thing. And I think that kind of justifies it for me, at least. And as I said, I just really wanted to explore this theme again, I guess. Also, I really wanted to have this designated art space. So there is one room that is like an art studio, which obviously in the last painter's apartment, there was not enough space for that. But here, I really tried to fit in another room. Now, it was a bit difficult because this apartment is just completely rectangular, and I always find this a little bit difficult for coming up with a floor plan because you do not have any nooks or bump outs to work with. But yeah, I try to make it work. The last time I furnished this apartment, I just had like 3 rooms, so a bathroom, main living area, and one big bedroom. And here I really try to split that bedroom area up in 2 rooms. So the bedroom itself is a little bit smaller, and then we have this art studio. And the reason why I really wanted to have this studio space was because I really wanted to use the, I think it's called ArtistStudio kit that came out last year at some point, which again, I cannot really believe that this was 1 year ago, but okay. Also, we got so many kits in the meantime, and who is supposed to keep track of all that stuff? But yeah, I won that kit in a giveaway back then, and I really wanted to use it. I think overall it's kind of one of the better kits, I would say. At least there's some stuff that I really like to use, like that one porcelain tray with the apples. It really looks like a still life. I think I'm going to use it here. I'm not really sure. Also, that one vase with the lilies in there, and that stack of books and the statue. So this is all stuff that I kind of feel is really useful for me and that is more versatile than the rest of the kit. And I really just also wanted to use the furnishing pieces for the artist studio in this apartment because I'm not sure if I'm going to really use them in different areas. Like again, some of the stuff really is very versatile for me personally, but some of it maybe not that much. So I really wanted to use it here, and yeah, apart from that, try to not use too many packs. I have not counted how many I used, but it's not a crazy amount. So the problem with this apartment for me mostly was the color scheme. And I was going back and forth so many times between swatches, also different rugs and wallpapers, and I really could not decide. So some parts of this video are going to be extremely frustrating. Like at one point, I think I'm going to change the entire kitchen. And then at some point, I'm just pressing undo and everything goes back to as it was before. And I suppose this is really, really annoying to watch, but I decided to leave it in just to give an idea of how much of a struggle it was for me to figure out the style and the color scheme of this apartment. I think the color scheme that I'm going for in the end is a mix of aubergine. This is probably a terrible pronunciation of this word, but yeah, aubergine, blue, green. So I try to kind of use this in all the rooms, but yeah, I was really struggling, especially with this kitchen corner, and you're going to see this later. I think the living area with that sofa that is from the ParanormalStuff hack and the rug that I'm going to end up with, this was kind of what the color scheme became for me, or what I was using as a reference for the rest of the apartment. But it took me so much time to figure that out. And I'm going to struggle again a lot with the bedroom, but I'm going to talk about this a little bit later because it was really giving me a bit of a headache. Also, I was thinking so long about what I was going to say in this video because it's been such a long time since I last recorded a voiceover that I almost felt the need to practice it beforehand because it just has been such a long time. And now I still feel that I forgot everything I wanted to say, so if this voiceover is all over the place, I'm really sorry, and I still hope that it's somehow acceptable. And then also the audio, I'm not sure if anything has changed because I'm in a different location now. I went home for Christmas, so now I'm at my parents' home in my childhood bedroom. And I hope this does not somehow negatively affect the audio quality, but I guess it will be okay. Also, I was thinking that I should probably somehow talk about why I have not shared anything for 1 year. Like, this channel is just a hobby and something I do for fun, so I probably technically do not need to justify why I just did not dedicate time to this hobby of mine, but yeah, I still somehow want to talk about it, but at the same time I feel that it will be way too long for this video. Not that this video is short by any means, because it turned out being like 26 minutes long again, which I realize is way longer than a speed build for an apartment renovation should be. But yeah, I'm just struggling with keeping my videos in a good length, which is also one of the reasons why I was very uncertain of how I wanted to proceed with my channel, because I realized that my speed builds not really have a good length, and yeah, I'm just struggling to keep it short apparently. This is not just a YouTube problem, it's also a university real life problem. Everything I ever write and submit is way too long, but I might talk about it next video. Hopefully there will be one, but right now this is kind of a way too big topic to talk about. Not that anything serious happened, like I'm making this sound way too dramatic, but I just feel there's so much to talk about and so much I was thinking about regarding this channel and also how I use my free time in general. So yeah, let's get back to the apartment actually, because now we are in the part where I'm trying around in the kitchen and you see me actually swap out all the counters and change the wallpaper. And yeah, it was a trial and error process, I would say, and I just wanted to tie the colors back to the ones of the living area, which obviously no person in real life, like obviously probably some persons in real life, but not the majority, will match their living area to the wallpaper in the kitchen or the other way around. So yeah, it is not very realistic, but it's The Sims and we like to do things in a little bit more stylized way, at least I do, just to make it more aesthetically pleasing. So I guess it's okay, but this made it really difficult to find a wallpaper for this kitchen, and I think in the end I'm going to choose brick wallpaper, like not small bricks but bigger stones with a color that is like a very toned down aubergine that reminds the color of the sofa. So I was happy with that, or at least somewhat satisfied, so we're going to stick with that. Not the one you see right now, but yeah, it's going to happen in a minute or so. But I'm also sorry if this is so annoying to watch, but yeah, as I said before, it was really such a struggle to come up with this color scheme. And it's not getting better in the bedroom, but I'm once again ahead of time. because we're still in the living area, and I was just adding some plants because apparently I just love to add plants to my builds and apartments, and then we are just adding some more decorations. So paranormal stuff really came in handy for this apartment because it really fit this eclectic style that I was going for. So I did not only take the sofa from this pack, but also the collage of paintings you see, and also the table. Also, I really like the painting on the table, which is also why before, I don't know if you noticed, but I placed clutter on it and then I decided to delete it again because I did not want to cover up this flower painting on the table. And I think that now we're just finally adding this final wallpaper to the kitchen, and then we're heading over to the bedroom. Now, the bedroom, because it's so small, I could not fit in a double bed on the long side of the room, if this makes sense. And then on the small side, we have that window. Now, I know that after some recent update, we can change the windows in apartments, but I do not really want to do that because it looks really stupid from the outside. So I decided to keep the window, but I did not want to place the bed halfway in front of it. So I covered up the bottom of the wall with these blinds and placed the bed before that. And then I just placed some other blinds at the top of the window as regular blinds. I don't know if anything of this makes sense, but you can also see it on screen. Maybe you get what I was trying to achieve. And then the color scheme. As I said before, I struggled so much with finding one. I also wanted to have it match with the one in the main living area, but finding swatches for this was just not working. So then I went with more like orange, dark blue, and yellow, as you can see. And this was looking fine on its own, but it was kind of bugging me that it was not fitting the rest of the apartment. And again, I know that in real life, most people will probably not have an apartment where every room is matching the color scheme of all the other rooms and have like this one cohesive set of colors that everything is following. But I really wanted to have it like this in that apartment. And although I really like the colors of the bedroom, I just did not like it in this apartment. And so later I decided to change it. But before that, I really reached a point where I did not know how to continue with this apartment because I was kind of not really vibing with it. I did just not really like it. And then I did something that I normally do not do when I'm making a video, which is trying to figure out how I would furnish this room off cam and then delete everything and record it again. Normally, I prefer to just have my, I will say, natural building process on cam. But it's terrible to watch sometimes and terrible to edit because it's a continuous back and forth, like you saw it with the rest of this apartment, and it can become really tedious. And with this bedroom, I really did not know how to go on with my usual way of building and of just trying around and then hoping I can just edit it out. At this point, I just decided I would figure it out without filming. And I did that. I found some swatches that I actually liked. I chose a new wallpaper, I chose a new rug, a new bed, and in the end, it matches the color scheme of the main living area way better. Also, these decorative pillows from that Africa update came in very handy. So they have very nice colorful swatches, and it was really a great help to tie back to that color scheme of the living area. And in the end, I kind of really liked how it looked, and I could go on to furnish the rest of the apartment. You might also notice at some point that I'm not using the red shelf anymore to place clutter. The red shelf is one of the very few building mods that I use because it just helps to place stuff a little bit easier. And at some point, I use in-game shelves to place all my stuff, which is just because I had to take out all my mods because of a recent update, and I could not bother putting it back in. But yeah, the red shelf will return at some point in this video. It's just that the different parts of this video were recorded over a relatively long period of time because I had many very long breaks in between, so this was recorded over many months. So yeah, in case you were wondering about the red shelf situation, which I don't even know if you would have noticed if I hadn't mentioned it, it's because of what I just explained. Yeah, I just wanted to mention it, and I think we're already almost at the point of the video where you can notice it. So when I'm decorating the little side tables of the bed. You can see me actually use the base game shelf at first, and for the second one I'm going to use a shelf from the Book Nook kit, which I actually do not use in this apartment, so there is nothing from this kit in here, but it is just really, really useful when it comes to placing clutter and using it as a red shelf replacement. But I think after this room, I put my mods back in and everything is going to be as it was before. Also, the bedside tables are not actual bedside tables, as you can clearly see, because the ones we have are notoriously huge and I couldn't fit them in here. And what I like to do in these situations is use these very classy looking bar stools from base game, because they are almost flat on top, so you can place clutter on them without there being glitches or whatever. So yeah, it is just something I really like to use as a bedside table replacement. And then we're already in the bathroom, and there's really not much to say about it. It's like a super basic bathroom, as you can clearly tell. It's like a 2 by 3 tiles room. Yeah, I also try to use some of the colors I used in the other rooms in here, but I think it's nothing spectacular, nothing that I really can say anything significant about. So I really hope that I can actually share the finished apartment on the gallery, but I'm not sure if I can, because my game really has not been my friend lately, and I think it was an update, which must have happened in summer or early autumn. And ever since that time, I have really big problems saving stuff to my library. So with Sims, it's not a problem as far as I can tell. But if I try to save a build or a room, and like apartments are technically rooms in a game, so every time I try to save this to my library, my game does not collaborate. So I get an error message that kind of says that the servers are not available and that I should try again later. And I really don't know what to do about that. In the case of rooms, it also really often freezes and crashes my game. So I've tried to save this apartment before and my game wouldn't let me. So I'm not sure if I can actually share it. I will try again, but I don't know. It will probably take me some time to make it work. I have really tried everything to fix my game. Like, I've taken out all the mods. I also repaired my game. I then looked at Answers HQ, but it really seems that this problem has not really been a thing for several years. At least I think the thread that I found was from 2018, and I tried what was suggested as a solution in this thread. So I took out my Sims 4 folder and then started the game, so it would force the game to create a new folder, but it didn't really work. So I tried it again afterwards and this problem would still happen. I also tried building in a new save, and at first it worked without problems, so I could save stuff again, and I almost thought that this was the solution, but it started again after some minutes. And it's also not a overcluttered lot problem, because I tried it with basically empty rooms or with shells and very basic empty builds, and it would still happen. So I really don't know what's going on here, and I don't know what else to try. I think the only thing that I could still try to do is to reinstall the entire game, but I really do not want to do that because it would take such a long time. It would be extremely tedious, and I kind of still hope that I can somehow fix it without having to do that. But yeah, I'm a bit at my wit's end at this point, and not being able to save builds and rooms has also been not a big motivation to work on something, because it's just a bit frustrating, honestly. Oh, and just to clarify, I can still sometimes save rooms and builds to the library, but it just takes so many tries. And I get this error message so many times until it works. And as I said before, especially with rooms, it often just crashes my game. And I can still save the game itself, so I'm not losing the rooms and builds completely, but I cannot save them as yeah, as a room or a build to the library, so I cannot share them on the gallery, and I also cannot share the tray files. So yeah, if I try it many times, then at some point it will work for whatever reasons, but I never know how many tries it takes me and what it is dependent on, if it works or if it doesn't work. So if you have any idea of what this problem could be caused by or how I could fix it, I would really appreciate any tips or any help you could offer me. So if you have any idea, please leave a comment down below. I would be really, really happy if anybody could help me with that. And now we are already in the last room, which is the art studio I was talking about before. So I also used the brick wallpaper in here that is covered by white paint. I think this is really one of my favorite wallpapers in the game, and it's even in base game, so I'm very thankful for that one. And what I was trying to do was to have sort of a like, I placed this backdrop that is actually from the ArtistStudio kit, that is basically just a cloth hanging over a wooden, I don't know the word in English, but sort of a wooden scaffolding, I will call it. And the cloth also came in a swatch that was somehow resembling the one of the living room sofa. And again, I was going for this aubergine color. And then I placed a table in front of it and tried to build sort of a still life situation there. So I placed the cornucopia, which is probably not the English word for that, but yeah, that thing from Seasons, and also some other stuff that kind of makes it look like the artist living here created sort of a still life to use as a reference for painting. I also used one of the easels from the ArtistStudio kit, which is a little bit more modern looking than the one we have in base game. And then, as you can see, I try to use a lot of furnishing pieces from that kit, like that desk, also that little shelf, that little stool that actually works as a surface in the game. So technically you could place something on a stool. I just did not really find anything that I wanted to place on it. And then I also placed some of the wall decorations from this kit on the walls. I think it has 4 different swatches. One is more like drawings, and then there's this one which has almost some abstract art pieces among the sketches and drawings, which I liked a lot for this room. And yeah, I also placed a lot of plants, of course. And I think this is pretty much all there is to say about this room. Oh, just one last thing that I just came to my mind was probably interesting is that at some point in this video, it's probably going to happen in a few seconds. I'm going to place some origami cranes and frogs on that desk, like right next to that little painting from ParanormalStuff. And these papercraft animals, like, now is the moment where I do that, but they came with Adventure Awaits. But I do not have this pack, so apparently all the papercraft stuff you can make in this new pack has somehow been added to base game debug. And I already noticed this sometimes happens when a new pack comes out, that some of the debug stuff gets just added to base game, which I think is really funny. So if this is a bug, I hope it never gets fixed, because I was happy to have new decoration in base game to put in my builds. So yeah, that was a pretty interesting realization I made while building this apartment. So in case you were wondering, this apartment does not use Adventure Awaits, but this stuff has just been added to base game debug for whatever reason. And with that, we're almost at the end of this video. If you made it until here, thank you so much for watching and taking your time for this video. And if you liked it, feel free to leave a thumbs up and maybe leave a comment if you want to, or even subscribe. It would be so much appreciated, even though I cannot promise when there will be a new video. I hope it won't take me another year, but I really can't tell you right now when I will have time to share something again. I really want to continue this channel, but I just know that I will never be a person who does regular uploads. It just doesn't work for me right now. So it will just happen when it happens, and yeah, I guess we all have to be surprised by it. I'm also recording this only a few days before Christmas, so to all who celebrate, I wish you Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I hope you have a wonderful time with your family or whoever you are spending Christmas with. And I also wish you a wonderful start for the new year and a hopeful start. And I hope I will be back in 2026 at some point again. I don't really know when, I don't really know what it will be that I'm sharing, but I hope we will meet again. And until then, have a great time and stay safe. Bye.